This week's episode was brought to you by Derspaz, Kisachi, and Hool. Thank you, Derspaz, Kisachi, and Hool. It's with the generous support of listeners whose names sound like incantations to the elder gods that keep our tiny boat of rogue podcasters floating through the abyssal waters in search of the red sun at the center of the earth, where we intend to discuss branding opportunities with the public transportation companies and become the world's most popular podcast amongst the race of frost giants who live and farm there. If you'd like to help us become the most popular podcast on the Hollow Earth, or just hear the second half of this episode, then please visit www.patreon.com/thewholerabbit, where your monthly donation of just $5 will not only get you unlimited access to our voluminous library of episodes about every bizarre, religious, science fiction, horror, conspiracy, occult topic on the goddamn internet. Oh no! I'll even send you a 5x5 high-quality vinyl sticker of our Big Bunny Baphomet cover art, and besides that, you'll also get the secret keys to our Discord dungeon, where we keep the pet photos, poker tables, and pina coladas. If you enjoy The Whole Rabbit, please give us a shout out on social media, or maybe share the episode with a friend who you know enjoys weird stuff, because every little bit helps grow our tiny podcast, and for that, we thank you. And of course, special thanks to the Cryptic Chronicles podcast and Mr. Tim Hacker for preparing the episode this week. Make sure to check out crypticchronicles.com. In this week's episode, we explore the mysterious UFO sex cult Raelism. In the first half of the show, we focus on Raelism's belief in a race of humanoid creator beings they call the Elohim, and what the revelations of their kind holds for ourselves as individuals and the collective destiny of all mankind. Now at a critical juncture between open contact or total annihilation, we explore Raelism's strange sexual practices, its problematic logo, and some of the specific commandments given by the Elohim. In the extended episode, we delve into Rael's personal history, his failed music career, and the events leading up to his alleged encounter with the Elohim. We discuss the controversies surrounding Raelism, including accusations of plagiarism, pedophilia, and the scientific evidence or lack thereof to support the claims that Raelism's sister project CLONEAID successfully cloned the first human being. Is it true? Tune in to find out. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
This shit is funny and crazy and actually still happening right now. Japan, I thought you were cool.
But yeah, I was actually surprised because there's some shit in here that's actually makes kind of sense.
That's what's sad about it, right?
Yeah.
The only part I really disagree with, like truly disagree, is obviously the underage.
Oh yeah, that's a big no-no.
Everybody else who wants to be dumb enough to give money, whatever. We'll talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about it, but like
you're free to be stupid.
That etymology section.
Did you guys know there's a cult for the visually impaired?
Oh really?
Yeah, they just follow their leader blindly.
Oh.
Did you hear about the one with the cult meet and greet?
No.
The punchline is a killer.
No.
Whoa.
Have you heard about the pogo stick cult?
No.
The profits have gone through the roof.
Jesus.
What did the cult of the train summon?
What?
What?
Choo choo Loo!
Oh, ha ha.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
That is so stupid. That's why it's great.
I gotta catch my breath. Hold on.
Malacor, you sound very far away.
Yeah, I'm packing.
Oh, okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Whole Rabbit, where we don't just tell you about a fictional group of ancient, sex-obsessed technocrats who secretly control human affairs by manipulating the elite on the surface world using UFO technologies left behind by our creators to be used inappropriately for endless sex and hideous torture. Nay, we explain how the Elohim were actually a space-faring alien race of genetic artists who created the human race thousands of years ago, along with all the other life on the earth, but also all our major religions, whose prophets were secretly clones, and put some French guy in the 70s named Claude in charge of informing all of us about the truth of these matters, because this week we're discussing Raelism, a French-Canadian sex cult who worships the alien Elohim space lords and specializes in cloning humans for the Illuminati. I'm your host, host, Hack Rabbit, also known as Luke Madrid. I'm joined this week by my beloved co-hosts, the dog-headed Saint Sama of Mari,
Awoo!
the eviscerator of the Elohim, Malachor 5,
I am dead, yet I live.
the governor of Canada, Heka Astra,
Hello. I don't know what to say to that one.
Oh, I wish you were.
At the very least, I understand the common people, unlike all those other bastards.
and the Grand Master of the Cryptic Chronicles podcast, crypticchronicles.com, the illustrious Mr. Tim Hacker. Thank you for joining us and preparing the majority of this episode for us today.
Absolutely. I'm a little bit under the weather, but I think I'm still good to go. I drank an entire bottle of Dayquil, so we should be pretty good.
So this is also a science experiment.
Yeah, it'd be better if I took 2 bottles of NyQuil. That would be way better.
Do they
But-
cancel each other out? If you like have another one, you won't fall asleep.
No, what happens is you just trip balls.
Oh.
That's how you get to Yesode.
That's how you know you're doing a good job.
Because the Dayquil is like Hode and the NyQuil is like Netsock. You put the two together, you go through the abyss.
And in the abyss, you find a pack of Benadryl there to help
Oh
you
no.
further.
Yeah.
Not the Hat Man.
Yep, then you take the Benadryl, then you see the Hat Man, and then the circle is complete.
The Benadryl initiates the Knox formula.
Mhm.
So, for anyone who's confused, this episode is about the guy who's on the cover of a package of zigzags.
Really?
Yes.
That just confuses me more.
I'm Googling this.
You Google it.
Were you being serious?
Holy shit.
It's just
It's
a
a-
stereotype.
It's a wrapping paper, but yeah, it's like, wait, a fresh man is on the front of it.
Yes, but this is the Frenchman who convinces you into his alien cult and then convinces you to look at your butthole in a mirror, okay? That's the guy. So to get started, we have to go back 2 years to the dark times.
In 2022 on Twitter, famous artist Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, posted an image on Twitter along with the words, Ye, 24, love everyone, hashtag love speech.
I love everyone.
This image caused him not only to lose tons of his shoe deals, with him being dropped from basically all the big boys like Adidas and others, but it also resulted in Elon Musk banning him from Twitter.
So you know it's good.
Yeah,
I know what you mean. This has become an enduring meme on the show. We love to make fun of that one time Kanye West went full Hitler, especially when he went on the Alex Jones show that broke the internet.
How about that one?
You know, we actually did a whole episode on the fiasco, but we left this particular part out because it opens such an enormous can of worms and not the ones most people would think.
Yeah, like, I thought it was a troll when it happened, especially when he went on Alex Jones' show. But to be specific, the image that Kanye put on display on his Twitter page was of a logo that featured an image of the Star of David with a swastika linked inside of it.
Naturally, these two symbols are so well known, and Kanye West was acting so unhinged that it seems like no further explanation was necessary. On the contrary, I do tend to think further explanation is necessary because
Yeah, the image posted was none other than a symbol of the Raelian movement, which we found out after we looked it up. At first, I thought it was him trying to say something about the Jews being related to the Nazis, or it's the same thing, y'all. Let's all hold hands and love each other. I don't know what he was trying to say, but I don't know if he even joined the cult or if he's even aware of what it is. But this led into a whole other can of worms.
yeah,
without context, it looks pretty bad.
well, I was surprised. Nobody even brought up the Raelians. They're just like, oh, no,
I don't think-
not this symbol, no.
I don't think people know what it is, but the juxtaposition of these two symbols seems, I mean, it broke people's brains. Like, people didn't know even what to think about it because it's like mixing two opposite colors.
Well, it's interesting because Kanye had been going full Hitler for days and days and days, but it was only when he posted the Raelian symbol that he, quote, went too far. Am I to believe that Musk and West, these titans of culture, didn't know about Raelism at all? Am I to believe that anti-Semitism is really the reason Kanye got banned for sharing the symbol? It's probably would take you 5 to 10 seconds to find way more anti-Semitic content from way more popular accounts right now on Twitter. So it's left some people to question, mostly me, was Kanye really banned for posting the Raelism symbol because perhaps there's something even more controversial that those two want to keep hidden? That would make sense if Elon Musk and Kanye West were human clones.
Dun dun dun.
I always
So-
just thought he was like a MK Ultra Monarch program kind of guy.
Oh, probably. But it's like, if I'm going to think about who's a clone, nothing really comes to mind. But I mean, other than popular political figures that want to
Yeah.
extend their life and control. But I mean, Mark Zuckerberg is technically a robot.
Hmm.
So how far off could a clone be?
You know, the two things that MK Ultra children and clone children share in common is lack of parental unit.
Mm.
So are we going into the Clone Wars or like Robot War against Terminator? Terminator in the future?
I mean, the clones could be robots at this point.
Don't tell me it's both.
It might be both.
When it comes to the UFO cults, Raelism stands out with its unique veneration of science and a departure from the supernatural beliefs of many other UFO cults. This distinct approach, coupled with its amalgamation of established religions, makes Raelism a truly intriguing subject to study.
These guys are kind of like the stereotype. When you say UFO cult, realism is probably what you're thinking of.
Except it's a bunch of fedora-wearing Redditors that are like, oh my gosh, I friggin' love science.
Raelism, also known as Raelianism, was founded in 1970 in France by Claude Vorilhon. The movement is allegedly about attaining a utopian geniocracy and completely rejects all spirituality and even Darwinian science. Imagine intelligent design, but for atheists. Although originating in Europe, France really doesn't like Claude and all but kicked him out of the country.
I guess Canada had had enough as well.
But despite this, the cult has 65,000 members worldwide. Allegedly, those numbers are higher, such as like some say 80,000. Other more propaganda type ones coming from Raelism itself say over 100,000, with its reach expanding all the way into Africa, Canada, South Asia, the Pacific, you name it. Their symbol is a swastika within a Star of David, which understandably has attracted them a lot of negative attention. Claude Vorilhon even changed his name to Rael, which is based on Israel, because as he claims, he's the prophet of the Elohim, ripped straight out of the Torah.
We'll discuss Rael's story in the second half after we cover some of the more interesting aspects of the religion itself.
Yeah, and I'm not going to call this freak Rael. I'm going to call him Claude.
How dare you speak of the prophet this way?
I'm unabashedly biased. Do not care.
Look, I'm going to play devil's advocate this whole episode, whether it's good for us or not, because
Do it, yeah.
somebody's got to do it.
On this note, the movement has endured no small measure of discrimination, specifically in France, but basically everywhere. But the real question is, do they deserve this? Well, let's look deeper and discover for ourselves, shall we? Claude had changed his name to Rael following an alleged encounter with extraterrestrials back on December 13th, 1973. This was no ordinary butt stuff alien encounter. No, these aliens had a message for humanity they planned by using Rael to tell. These beings called themselves the Elohim, those who came from the sky according to Rael, and conferred upon Claude his name Rael, which means who brings the light of the Elohim, or messenger of the Elohim.
It just sounds like Rael.
Well, one thing you'll notice about Claude is he's really good at telling tall tales, but he lacks creativity. So he has to take a lot of things from other places and just amalgamize it. But the Elohim allegedly told Rael that humanity had entered the age of apocalypse after Japan was nuked in World War II, and that humans were at the crossroads in their history that was a form of natural selection to basically all inhabited planets in the universe. It came at one point, no matter what, in which they'd either destroy themselves or learn to live in peace and eventually ascend.
This is basically the same stuff that like Bill Nye and Neil deGrasse Tyson say. They call it the Great Filter. There's actually a lot of overlap between realism and hip modern mainstream culture. So
I heckin' love science, bros.
Yeah, because all that Claude does is he appropriates stuff. You'll see. I'll explain it. I got my receipts. But these aliens then revealed to him the true hidden history of our planet. The Elohim visited Earth 25,000 years ago and created humans through a cloning project using their own genetics as a template.
you know, I'll be honest, at least half of that might actually be true.
The little green man then revealed that he was none other than Yahweh, the leader of the Elohim, and that Rael was one of many children alongside other prophets like Jesus, Moses, and Buddha. But this was not all Yahweh said. If humans want the Elohim to return and make everything super groovy, they would have to build an embassy so they can land in Israel and learn from them how to clone themselves.
I think Elon Musk is working on that right now.
It is only through cloning ourselves that we show the Elohim we appreciate the way that we were created, because we're clones. And then they will land within a controlled environment so they don't die from our diseases here. And yeah, you see, we were cloned from a planet of Eternals. Didn't you know that?
So you're saying all of the major religions were created by the Elohim, and now Rael is in charge of all religion, and that's why we should all follow him?
He'll also touch you inappropriately, so there's all kinds of benefits.
So he was the first starseed.
Because, like, he came around with his stuff right around the same time that a lot of that Pleiadian starseed stuff was already a thing. They just called it something else. They called it the space people or something, the space family.
All those people are trying to catch up to him.
I think Luke's
Yeah.
right. I'm on the vibe with Luke.
Rael would continue to interact with the Elohim, which inspired him to write his second book, Extraterrestrials Took Me to Their Planet.
When you say it like that, you make it sound like it's fiction or something.
In the book, Rael is abducted and taken to the Elohim's home planet, which is unnamed. While visiting the alien world of our creators, he's introduced to their culture, which is very different from ours.
Just a little bit.
And by a little bit, he means a lot. The Elohim only allowed the most intelligent among them to lead, and they also taught him the notorious sensual meditation technique, which we'll get into later.
Yeah, he called it a geniocracy, as in leadership by geniuses.
Well, we'll talk about that.
I love how he's like, of course it's true. Like, this is too out there to be possibly made up. And it's like, bro, we're all familiar with science fiction. Like, it's not too weird to make up.
Taking a page from Scientology here.
It's like, calm down there, Elrond.
It's like nobody could come up with this. It's like actually lots of people come up with this kind of shit.
Also, the first time he met quote unquote Yahweh, it was in a volcanic crater,
Yeah.
which gave me serious Scientology vibes.
Well, at least L. Ron Hubbard was creative. Like, Plot is not creative. He's not. But he's very good at telling tall tales.
I love too how it's like little green men, not like gray aliens, because that's like kind of a farce that was started a long time ago. He's just like really held on to the like, no, they were little green men.
Yeah, and they have mustaches.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, maybe he's talking about a Mexican.
What if he did just meet a Mexican out in the woods?
Covered in green
This-
salsa.
All this came from it.
It's like, yeah, I'm an alien. What the you talking about, dude?
No, he's just talking in Spanish, like broken English. And the guy's like, oh my God, you're an alien.
Like Star Wars?
No, I really thought when he said that they have mustaches, I thought he was talking about a Mexican.
You know, that's the thing. Aliens are usually described as hairless, you know?
Met the Mexican alien finally.
Maybe it was the guy on the zigzags package all along.
I have always wanted to be the guy on the 6-pack package in generic world.
You know, technically Canadians and Mexicans are alien to America and Americans are aliens to France. So could be any of the above. I'm an alien fiance.
It's true.
I'ma disrobe you, then I'ma probe you.
That's kind of
She's a space babe.
So a year after he writes his first book, the aliens come by and abduct him, taking them to their planet. In his second book, he explains what his hotel accommodations were like on the Elohim's planet. You get a really good understanding of what the Elohim are like.
Yeah, because the first contact, the alien lands in the volcanic crater, talks to him, and has him take notes on the Bible. And then the second time, they actually teleport him to their home planet and then let him stay there for a few days, and they provide him a residence and everything.
When he talks about it in interviews, he's like, it was so crazy, I did not know what I was seeing.
So he saw a lot.
This is what he says he saw.
I found myself in front of a house that looked more like a scallop shell than a residence. The interior was entirely carpeted with shaggy furs, and there was a huge bed, at least as big as 4 earth beds, looking as if it had been sunk into the ground. Bro loves stuff that's sunken in the ground, including bathtubs, apparently. Like, it's very 70s vibe with shag fur. It was recognizable only by the different colored furs covering it. In the corner of the huge room, there was a massive sunken bathtub, oh yeah, as big as a swimming pool, surrounded by vegetation of marvelous shapes and colors. Would you like some female companions? Asked the robot that was escorting him. Come, you can make your own choice. I put my belt on again, which is a device that he claims that Elohim used to travel. They kind of like levitate and hover around like the Jetsons. So he puts his belt on and found myself transported back into the front of the machine used for making robots. A luminous cube appeared in front of me. I was shown to an armchair facing the cube and given a helmet, VR helmet. When I had settled down, a magnificent young brunette with marvelously harmonious proportions appeared 3-dimensionally within the luminous cube. She moved in such a way as to show herself off. My robot asked me whether she pleased me and if I wished to have her shape altered or her face modified. I told him that I considered her perfect. He replied that aesthetically pleasing, she was the ideal woman, or rather, one of the 3 types of ideal women, as defined by the computer according to the taste of the majority of the residents on the planet. But I could ask for any modification I desired. At my refusal to change anything whatsoever about that magnificent creature, a second woman, this time blonde and alluring, appeared in the luminous cube. She was different, but just as perfect as the first one. With her, I could not find anything to alter either. Finally, a third young female, this one a redhead, more sensual than the first two, appeared in the strange cube. The robot asked me if I cared to see other models, or if these 3 ideal types of my race would be enough for me. I answered quite naturally that I thought these 3 people were extraordinary. At that moment, a magnificent black woman appeared in the cube, then a very fine, slender Chinese female.
At the beginning, it was starting to sound like a joke. You know, a blonde brunette and a redhead.
That's what I was gonna say.
Approach you in an alien planet. It's, okay.
But here comes everyone else. Here's all the other models that are not as popular, apparently. Jesus Christ. So the fine, slender Chinese female, and then finally another voluptuous young Asian woman. The robot asked me which person I desired to have as a companion. Since I answered that they all pleased me, he went towards the robot making machine and spoke for a moment with one of his peers. Then the machine was set in motion, and I understood what was about to happen. A few minutes later, I was back at my residence with my 6th companion. There, I had the most unforgettable bath that I have ever had in the company of those charming robots, totally submissive to all my desires.
This is just a letter to Playboy.
Not only that, but this is like an incel, like fantasizing about the future where you can print your robot waifu. And like, understand this is probably like a fanatical, fanciful imagining, but at the same time, why would you choose the base model when you can modify it? Like,
well, they're all
bro, choose the default model on everything when you could mod it like to your dude.
Mari, they're all perfect because they're void of personality. We can obviously see where this is going.
I'm just saying, if you get the base model, I'm sorry, you don't deserve that. And then I also found something really funny, like near this in the book. This is talking about how this machine will 3D print a human-shaped robot at your command that will be programmed to do anything you want, okay? And apparently this is just a commonplace thing that happens on the Elohim planet. And so going to the next quote, in addition, men who wish to have one or more companions outside of the relationships of equality that exist between eternal men and women, or who do not want to live with a woman on an equal basis, whatever that means, may have one or more totally submissive biological robot women with the exact appearance that is desired. The same goes for women who can have one or several totally submissive biological robot men. I thought it was hilarious because the Elohim either can't make gay robots or they have a strict hetero bias.
I was gonna say, well, at least it's good, I guess, that they have options for people with god complexes.
All the slaves on their planets are these like 3D printed robot things that look like humans. It's really f***ed up. And then there's also humans living there like Jesus and Mozart and Buddha. It's like, okay, it sounds like some kind of, like, what did you take to see this shit?
You know who the 3D printed robots really are? Us. That's who.
I don't know. I mean, that's not what it says in the book. It says that you can like mistreat them and whatever. It's just like an automaton. Who cares?
He's just a pervert.
Yeah, it sucks.
I guess that's one way of looking at like a paradise, I guess, and it's like the city of the gods where Buddha and Jesus are, is that like you only recognize the prophets and everything else is just a clone.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no identity. So like
to me, it sounds pathetic.
You're only
It
talking
is
to cult
pathetic.
leaders. It's like you're only talking to the cult leaders at that
Because
table.
he's like, the first thing that he thinks of in paradise is like, how can we make slavery like actually a good thing?
Yeah, but Mal, you're forgetting the Jesus and Muhammad, all the prophets, they're clones.
Yeah, they take one cell from their body when they're at their peak, and they can like keep manifesting them over and over again.
We'll get there.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid, guys. Don't ever drink the Kool-Aid.
Raelians believe that every interstellar civilization that survives the Crossroads apocalypse event also creates its own child species. So in this way, I remember earlier you mentioned, okay, everybody's all just created by the Elohim as clones. Incorrect. Even the Elohim were created through cloning by another species.
Oh.
It goes on and on indefinitely throughout the universe. Genetic manipulation and cloning are the norm, not the exception. Raelians believe that by following the example of the Elohim, humanity can eventually create technologies that will make humans basically immortal through cloning and achieve space travel that will open up the entire universe to our exploration.
Rael explains in his first book there is no god or soul, but that life can be continued through the replication of the genetic code.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because, I mean, it doesn't make sense, but it's an atheistic religion. It's really crazy.
This is the Song of Slanesh. It's like a... it's a religion of excess.
So, therefore, there is no eternal soul flying gracefully from the body after death. But there is the genetic code, which is the personality of each individual. No. It is through this genetic code that the Elohim proceed to recreate those people whose life on Earth is worthy of eternal life on their planet. There is no quote-unquote God, but there are the Elohim, our creators, who we wish to welcome as they deserve to be welcomed, and in whom we have faith, or rather trust. Also, there is no autonomous soul flying from the body after death, but there is the genetic code which allows access to eternal life.
The Elohim themselves are small humanoids that look very similar to humans. They have their own individuality and unique personalities, just like us. The Elohim and the interstellar community that they're a part of also have access to such advanced technology that they can not only create new humanoid species from nothing aside from a speck of their DNA, but also create animals, landscapes, and even atmospheres that are most beneficial to their creations.
You just have a planet that just has farts for air. You just breathe farts.
That's where I'd be. Raelism basically borrows from all the big major religions, similar to a lot of other UFO cults like, Heaven's Gate, which notoriously self-deleted itself with the return of Halley's Comet after chopping the testicles off its male members.
Woo!
But this is nothing new. In fact, after all the research done on these people, I came to the conclusion that literally nothing within it is original.
I don't know. What Mari read was pretty original. Then again, it sounds a little bit like the Star Wars Christmas special, so maybe not.
Well, are you familiar with a lot of the old UFO books from back in the day, like the 50s and 60s? Like, I love those books, and you could find everything that Rael says in those books. Claude, I mean. I'm not going to call that weirdo Rael.
Sounds like an incel that was just obsessed with sci-fi, like fantasy books.
Oh, he's totally an incel.
And then he studied the Bible and the Talmud and some other shit, and then he decided he was the prophet.
Yeah, like he definitely has studied a lot of ufology and a lot of comparative religion type stuff. And he was absolutely an incel when he was younger. We'll get to that, don't you worry. But it's all basically copied from other stuff that already existed, and it's just kind of smushed together into an amalgamation.
It worked for World of Warcraft, Tim.
For example, the apocalypse stuff concerning nuclear weapons and alien disapproval is found in all kinds of ufology encounters of the third and fourth kind, all throughout everything. Claude claims that all the prophets from the great religions, such as Buddha, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, and Malachor V, were sent from the Elohim to enlighten humanity. These special humans were made by sex between humans and Elohim.
Tell me what's next, alien sex.
With genetic engineering.
That sounds so contradictory, given that he's like, there's no God, there's no this or that, but like, that's what those prophets.
Yeah, but it's an alien. It's an alien.
Alien
it's
prophets,
not God. It's not a God. It's a person like you and me that's advanced.
Yahweh.
And they made us.
He's short.
Dude, he's like throwing out all of these previous people's teachings and yet simultaneously saying like, no, they're also part of it.
Yeah.
It's entirely contradictory.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, it's dumb.
That's why it's crazy.
No, all that complicated stuff you can read about from all these mainstream religions, it's all complicated because you're confused. I'm the one that understands it and can explain it in plain English, and that's why you need to put my balls in your mouth.
Yeah, and again, give him your money and your belongings. But see, the thing is, too, is that despite him like researching some stuff, obviously he researched some stuff, he never came across the fact that the word Elohim was actually not originally like Israeli at all. It's Canaanite. The Israelites were originally Canaanite, and Elohim is a plural word for a pantheon of gods, more closely connected to Sumerian gods.
Yeah, it's not a species of aliens.
Your God is the first person to use pronouns, and this is what he used. God, they, them, Elohim.
Well, it's just not even originally a Jewish word. Let's just be real.
And then he came up with the rainbow. Don't get me started. Everyone wants to get mad at me for giving a rabbit tits, okay? Anyway.
Allegedly, the aliens said all things would be known in time through science.
Science?
Science. With all diseases eradicated and even schools abolished. The Elohim aliens apparently just give their children injections that instantaneously teach them all the knowledge that they could ever need from going to school, and they really just have time to focus on stuff that they want to do.
Just like during the quarantines.
This goes against other stuff the cult says because all the Elohim are supposed to be immortal through cloning and look down on procreation. So there shouldn't be any kids in the first place. They're as old of a civilization as they say they are, you know?
No, Tim, it's probably like Demolition Man, where you need a license to procreate, and it's all done in a laboratory. Sex is for fun.
That would definitely be awesome, though, to be able to inject yourself with knowledge without seeming to like actually have to work for it to learn it. It seems kind of weak, though. I mean, in nature, if you don't use something, you lose it. So there's probably something I'm missing here.
There is something you're missing here, Tim. If everything is genetic, including knowledge and life itself, which could then be injected, and I was made from the code of Yahweh himself, what reasonable justification do you have for not letting me put my ding-dong belong in your pastry box.
Oh my god. But there are other contradictions in Raelian dogma too, like claiming to want the population to decrease but being against violence. Imagine if we lived in a world where the boomer generation was immortal. They have that, but it's the entire population. Why would you have a swastika as your emblem, but need your embassy temple to be built in Israel?
You know, it kind of makes me wonder if Theosophy is allowed to use their insignia in Israel. Because let's be honest, they did it first.
That's very true. Or in Germany for that matter. I gotta stop though, I'm kind of getting lost in the woods. Apparently, on the Elohim planet, robots do literally all the work and tasks too. There is no poverty, and everyone is free to do whatever they want. Society is a leisure society, which sounds boring and against the fundamental laws of nature. But then again, Raelians don't believe in natural selection, so facts are not really their thing. Also, what kind of culture would this even cultivate?
Do you like pina coladas?
All I could think of is they'd be incredibly lazy, like the humans from the movie WALL-E pop into my head. You know, those people who are like all hooked up to that floating crap all the time, plugged into a headset all day. I mean, if this were a thing, there would be lots of time for spirituality and enlightenment and all that kind of stuff, but Raelians don't believe in anything spiritual. So all the time that they would have to do that isn't a thing because they don't believe in anything outside of materialism. So their focus must be material, which sounds like kind of like a benign dystopia to me. What do you think?
I gotta play devil's advocate. I'm not gonna let some Pixar movie be the reason I have to serve space french fries at a space McDonald's to pay my space rent. I'm okay living in a society where everybody can do as they please. Some people's idea of leisure is rock climbing or synthesizing new chemicals. I got nothing wrong with this. What do I care if Becky wants to become a 400-pound land monster? You do you, Becky. I'll be hiking through the redwoods on ketamine with my drone looking for Bigfoot turds. I mean, this is essentially how he describes society in his first book, but with sex robots.
From the book, not from me. The Eternals who live here, both people from Earth and Elohim, can fulfill themselves as they wish, without having to do anything but that which pleases them. Scientific research, meditation, music, painting, and so on. Or they can do nothing at all if they feel like it. The servants you saw carrying the dishes a little while ago, as well as the dancers, are just biological robots. They are only created according to the same principle we use to create the people of Earth in a totally scientific way. But they have been limited and are absolutely submissive to us. They are also incapable of acting without orders from us, and they are very specialized. They have no aspirations of their own and no pleasure except those that are necessary for their specialization. Hooker bots. They grow old and die like us, but the machine that makes them can make far more than we need. One can even submit the picture of someone particularly admired or loved on Earth, for example, and the machine will produce an exact replica.
You just throw them in the trash when they're done? Oh, man.
So if you ever want like a slave bot of your boss.
Yeah.
Oh god, what a meaningless existence.
I know. This guy was like wanting the robot waifus like way before they're available.
It sounds kind of like the world of financial elite are moving us towards anyway, so he's just ahead of the curve.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
pretty much.
Yeah, he might still make it there. We almost got him for sale.
The Elohim also practice geniocracy. I mentioned this earlier. It's a form of governing that only allows geniuses into positions of power and influence. The aliens told Claude that Earth should do the same, which is just horrifically exclusionary and undemocratic to a ridiculous degree.
Plato called it the reign of the philosopher kings and taught that it was the ideal form of governance, actually.
Well, everybody's got blind spots. First of all, lack of clear intelligence assessment is a real thing. This means like the means of assessing intelligence are ill-defined, making it challenging to determine who meets the criteria. Just because you have a high IQ doesn't mean someone isn't a dumbass. Hell, I have a high IQ, higher than 80% of the population, and I don't think I'm better to rule than anyone else, and I'm dumb at a lot of stuff. A paper IQ test, they're just one aspect of a much broader intelligence spectrum. There's also emotional intelligence, so many other forms of intelligence that are just as important. People can become geniuses in specific fields or activities and still be dumb as hell in most others.
And that's why I'm governor of Canada.
Absolutely, because even you look at the higher spectrum of the IQ tests, a lot of the people are actually autistic that are that smart.
Yeah, that too.
And there's no emotional intelligence. There's no like ethics are kind of out the window sometimes with these smart people.
I don't think it's fair. It's absolutely not fair to say autistic people lack emotional intelligence.
I'm saying in general, if you get to the high end of the spectrum where it's like super extreme, like my dad was like one of these people. I've had direct experience with it, and it's like, of course I am too, but if you get to the higher parts of the IQ spectrum, there are some things these people can't do. Like if you ask them a basic question, they have a problem with it, but like if they can do high, mathematical equations and
I think my point is that emotional intelligence is more so something that you gain through experience. And it doesn't really matter if you're autistic or not if you learn through those experiences.
There's also social intelligence.
Well, if you're so gung-ho on mathematical equations and science, you guys, then it can become a problem.
Conscientiousness is its own form of intelligence, in my opinion.
Right.
And a lot of people who have been geniuses have been just assholes, and then you give them the right to rule. That's
Right.
going to create a superiority complex. What happens when somebody has a superiority complex and they have power structures? They're cruel to people that they deem less than them.
Correct.
I just think it's crazy the last election was between Joe Camel and Rump Musk.
And I mean, we're talking basically the vast majority of the population would have no right to vote, no say in anything. Countless people's concerns and desires would just be ignored outright.
That's exactly how Plato intended it. Have you ever read his little dialogue called The Timaeus?
I disagree with Plato on this. I agree with him on a lot of stuff.
You're
but
not
this I
allowed to
do
disagree
not.
with Plato. You know why?
Why?
Because he's smarter than everyone.
I do like him, but nobody is absolute, my friend.
Mhm.
Even Marcus Aurelius had some bullshit you could dismiss. Everybody has their blind spots. It's part of human nature.
Yeah, I used to be for technocracy and even this geniocracy. I mean, that would have sounded good to me about 15 years ago, but now I don't agree.
It's a nightmare. Geniocracy's emphasis on intelligence and selectivity could lead to an elitist system where those deemed intelligent hold power and make decisions on behalf of others, potentially perpetuating existing power imbalances. Not to mention, with total power comes total corruption. So these elitist groups could just rig intelligence tests, ensuring only those of their own group, like their own class, could ever have power, even if they're not really like what they're saying that they are. And you know as well as I knew that's how power works. And everyone else would just be up shit creek with no way out.
You guys ever taken the Black IQ test?
No?
Just look it up. In one section of his first book, he explains that anyone who mocks the geniocracy will be reanimated and tortured in what is presumably the Raelian version of hell. Get this.
And yet, as you have seen, Jesus is in marvelous shape and will be for all eternity, as is Muhammad and all those who followed them and believed in them. On the other hand, those who criticize them will be recreated in order to receive their punishment. The computers that monitor these people who have no knowledge of this message are linked to a system that, at the time of death and from a distance, automatically samples a cell from which they may be recreated if they deserve it.
You get that? So it's like you get stored on a computer, and if they want, they can reanimate you anytime they damn well please. They can poke you with needles, then suck out your eggs, and then just cut off your head and do it all over and over and over again if they so please.
They're going to have to get behind Rocco's basilisk.
I mean, how does this not sound like an enlightened alien race to you? I mean,
Well,
Like
they do
humans
sound
times 10.
hypocritical, so it definitely makes sense.
He's like an incel version of that big brain Wojak that's just like, oh, I know everything better. Ooh.
he's like sitting on his own brain
Yes.
like a chair.
Yes.
It's like that absolute narcissist.
That's Rael.
Yes.
Yeah. The cult believes that the Elohim will return in 2035, but only if all their specific requirements are met. So we got to learn to clone and genetic engineer quickly, as well as build a sterile temple for them to land their spaceships on in Israel by then. Claude tried to get an embassy actually to be built in Israel for his religion, where the aliens are supposed to land, but I mean, come on. Obviously, the Israeli government denied them. Officially, it's for unknown reasons, but we know the reasons. Maybe having a swastika inside a Star of David isn't such a great idea for an emblem that represents your whole religious organization. Just a
Yeah.
thought,
He actually tried to changing it for that. He put like a spiral. He put a spiral in the middle.
which
Yeah,
shows you
but-
he's also a quitter.
To be fair, have you seen some of the artwork they put inside of embassies? Every year, Ghislaine Maxwell personally selects the artwork based on her nightly conversations with the ghost of Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yikes.
Seriously, though, I think one reason he got denied might be the section in his first book addressed specifically to Israel. It says,
To the people of Israel, the state of Israel must give up some territory located near Jerusalem to the guide of guides, so that he may build there the residence, the embassy of the Elohim. The time has come, people of Israel, to build the new Jerusalem as it was foreseen. Claude Rael is the one who was foretold. Reread your writings and open your eyes. We wish to have our embassy among your descendants, and the people of Israel are the descendants of the children born of the unions between the sons of the Elohim and the daughters of men. People of Israel, we've removed you from the clutches of the Egyptians, and you did not show yourselves worthy of our confidence. We entrusted you with a message destined for all humanity, and you jealously kept it instead of spreading it abroad. You have suffered for a long time to pay your errors, but the time of forgiveness has come, and as was foreseen, we have said, to the north give them up, and to the south do not hold them back. I have gathered your sons and daughters from the ends of the earth, as was written in Isaiah, and you have been able to find your country again. You will be able to live there in peace if you listen to the last of the prophets, the one who was foretold to you, and if you help him to accomplish what we ask of him. This is your last chance. Otherwise, another country will welcome the guide of guides and build our embassy on its territory, and that country will be close to yours. It will be protected, and happiness shall prevail, and the state of Israel will be destroyed once more. Oh man. Okay.
Told you.
Man, he was like pretty much loving up on the Jews a whole lot, but he has a penchant for them if they don't let him build his dream home there.
That's like the first time Israel's ever been threatened to be destroyed.
There's
Yeah,
even
no, never heard of that before.
It's never happened to them before. They're really shaking in their boots because these peace-loving, sex cult alien French people are definitely the threat.
Mhm.
Yeah, he wrote in his book an entire description of this giant compound that he was supposed to build in a climate comfortable country as ordered by Yahweh, the Elohim. But it basically just described a lavish compound, like private mansion that was supposed to be built in Israel. And he's just demanding this entire country to like let him have free land to build his stupid compound. The Elohim told me, so I don't know.
Obvious cult leader is obvious cult leader.
On the other hand, I love that we're living in a timeline where open disclosure seems like it might come well before 2035, which, you know, the real aliens are going to land before this guy makes the damn embassy.
I don't think any of them are gonna care anyway, because they're all just fucking pervert freaks anyway, and that's what they were there for. Like, the rest of the alien shit was just like a good cover.
The aliens landed like, how about that guy Rael? And they're like, we don't know who that is. Now this brings us to religious practices.
Becoming a Raelian is not too difficult, but there has to be some initial rituals followed to the letter.
I hear when you first join, they bombard you. They're like, we're going to betray Rael. Are you in? And you have to say no. Otherwise, they spank you and kick you out of the alien cult before you even get in.
They don't even let you do the helicopter.
Is it a pleasurable spanking?
Probably. Now, in his
Yes.
first book, Rael receives a new and updated version of the 10 Commandments, which are fairly straightforward. I included those here in the notes. Let's see.
The new commandments. Yahweh then said, those who wish to follow you will apply the laws I am now about to give you. You will appear at least once in your lifetime before the guide of guides, so that he may transmit your cellular plan through manual contact, or have it transmitted by an initiated guide to the computer that will take this into account at your life's assessment hour of judgment.
So you have to register your account with the Elohim.
Yeah, you gotta sign in and everything and check your password. You will think at least once a day of the Elohim, your creators.
Okay.
You will try to radiate the message of the Elohim around you by every possible means.
Including farts.
You will at least once a year give a donation to the Guide of Guides, in this case, Claude, Rael, that is equal to at least 1% of your annual income in order to help him devote himself full time to his mission and travel around the world to spread the message. You will, at least once a year, invite the guide of your religion into your home, and you will gather at your place people who are interested in hearing him explain the message in all its dimensions.
So you have to let Claude into your house.
Sounds like a Tupperware party.
New members can only be initiated by high-ranking members or established priests/bishop guides. The rite of the transmission is actually only conducted 4 times a year in accordance with the Raelian calendar. The first transmission rite takes place on the first Sunday of April, which commemorates the original initiation of 40 members conducted by Claude into his religion back in 1976. According to Claude, this is also the date that the Elohim aliens engineered the first human clones, Adam and Eve. Then August 6th is the next transmission rite, and this commemorates the day that the atomic bombs were dropped on Japan in World War II, which was the seal that broke, initiating the age of the apocalypse on Earth, the era where humanity will either sink or swim, metaphorically, only on a cosmic scale.
I mean, that part might be true. I kind of believe that. Of course, I am a UFO hippie at heart, just a little bit, so.
The third transmission rite is on October 7th, which commemorates the day that Claude was taken by the aliens onto their spaceship and was introduced to the prophets from all religions. He met Jesus, Muhammad, and Buddha, to name a few. Literally all the prophets from all religions are said to introduce themselves to humanity when the aliens land in Israel. The final transmission takes place on December 13th, which commemorates the original alien abduction that swooped Claude up into space. And he was told that he was the aliens' chosen last prophet.
You know, they said the same thing to Muhammad.
They say that thing to everyone, I think.
But specifically, you're the last of the prophets. They told that to Muhammad so that when Rael came along, he'd be like, no.
Yeah, we got Mormonism. Like, that's a thing that they tell you because they want you to feel special.
Is that a thing in Mormonism? Is Brigham Young
He's the last prophet too.
He's also the Razul? Okay, this is a thing.
We're all the last prophets. Yeah. Raelians celebrate this day as a holiday. So they have their own version of Christmas for the holiday season. It's probably just a lot more freaky.
It sounds like they have all of their special days at the end of the year. And they're like offset with the normal holidays. So you could go and like act and be normal and then go do your cult holiday. So you get like double the amount of holidays. It's actually pretty
Again, nothing original. So they're going to have their weird sex holidays around all the normal holidays with similar themes.
Do you think anyone was ever in the Solar Temple and Raelism at the same time?
I think that people in the Solar Temple might have like above average intelligence, and you got to have either average or below average intelligence to be interested in Raelianism.
You know, as somebody who used to be in a cult, cults actually do a pretty good job of getting smart people. It's actually harder to fool dumb people.
Really?
Yes.
It more comes down to vulnerabilities, I think.
I'd say you're right about that. That was in the back of my head as well.
Like, I could be making this up, but I think there's a study that actually shows it's easier to fool smart people. And that's something Om Shinrikyo did as well. Like, they got doctors and scientists, and their stuff was wacky. Like, all this stuff that Claude says is pretty lukewarm, especially compared to stuff like Om Shinrikyo and People's Temple and, like, you know.
I think there's a spectrum. More so, it's people who, like Heka said, there's vulnerable people. And then there's people who want to feel superior to other people.
Yeah.
And you could get the intelligent people who are in that category. As long as they could feel superior to somebody else, they'll probably fall for your dogma.
It's called midwits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, vulnerability is exploitability, and it doesn't really matter how smart you are.
Yep. So yeah, there's definitely smart people in these cults. Absolutely, you're right, Rabbit King. But there's also more of a spectrum. And I'm going to go ahead and say that the more people who are average to above average intelligence, who are grounded and don't have issues, they're not going to look twice at this shit. They're just going to laugh.
Well, some people, that's why they join. It's because it makes them laugh, though.
Yeah, some people just want to watch the world burn.
You know, they'll do, I mean, it's all FOMO. It's like, oh, I'm going to let this French guy get all the tang. Look, he's got poofy clown hair. Like, how is
Not
he
only
doing
that,
this?
but like, I'm smart enough to get that too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to join because I'm smart. You know, it's like someone that does not necessarily that smart in all categories, if you know what I mean.
And highly intelligent people are still fully capable of the suspension of disbelief because of faith.
Yes. Which brings us to their baptism ritual, which is funny to think about because aren't they a science cult? How does this work?
Well, the rite itself is somewhat similar to the Christian baptism practices because, of course, it is. The initiator sprinkles water on their foreheads of like the new members as the priest telepathically communicates with the aliens, telling them that a new person is joining.
That's how we do it.
The priest orders the members present to form a human chain with all members holding hands, which strengthens the connections to the aliens. The ritual transmits the genetic code of the new member to the aliens, where the information is stored and recognized by the Elohim. When the aliens land on Earth, they will be cloned and judged by the Elohim. Suppose members are considered worthy by our alien creators. In that case, the Elohim will guarantee that member a form of immortality through cloning, repeated cloning, which also transfers their consciousness to a new body. This isn't the end of the initiation, though. The new members also have to sign away a contract with a mortician who works with the religious institution, who will chop out a piece of their skull when they die and save it in a skull library for the aliens when they land on Earth, which will make it easier for them to clone the deceased member. And this bone is taken from the location where the third eye is supposed to be, at least according to various esoteric traditions. If not located near the movement's main locations, the bone will be packaged and sent through mail to Claude for safekeeping. Give me your head bone. Woo!
If there's one place where you should be able to say this, it's on an esoteric podcast because it doesn't make sense that if you make a clone and let's say consciousness is an epiphenomena of biology, there's no reason to believe that your consciousness would be in that clone. It would just be a new person. And like the whole idea that let's say our DNA is like an antenna for our true self. Well, that just means our true self or our soul has to exist somewhere else, not in our body, right? So like the soul has to exist outside the body for it to transfer to a new body. Just ontologically, I don't see a way around it. There, I've said it. I've said it. I needed to say it. It's like that whole thing where they're like, I don't know what happens at CERN, but it's definitely opening portals. It's like people just assume that's how it works. Anyway, I'm done.
Well, it's like the equation of soul to the physical, which is kind of like glazing over a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
You can't download your consciousness unless you have a consciousness outside of the body as well. What if you make a clone of yourself and then that clone is alive and you're alive at the same time? Would you be in two places at once? No, I don't think so.
It's the same with when you clone a plant. Like you can take a piece of the plant, clone the plant, and it's not the exact same plant. It grows as a new plant.
I really dug deep trying to find even one example of this actually being a thing. And through all my research of this, I wasn't able to locate any documented evidence supporting the claim that they actually take this bone, that it's ever actually happened. So I think for the so I think for the most part, it's just telepathically sent to the aliens.
Meanwhile, Scientology actually took all your aunt's furniture after she died. They pulled up with a moving truck. They took her body. They took her furniture. All of it gone.
It could be a real thing though, dude. It's just like there's no paperwork to back it up that's ever happened.
Dude, Claude is Charlie Manson if Charlie Manson had been successful. That's it. This is all Charlie Manson wanted to do. Claude just accomplished it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they never found a hole in the desert. You know, I mean, they never actually did anything. They just got high and had orgies.
Dude, Claude.
But Manson only got away with it for like a year. And then the next thing you know, people are like, no, Claude's been doing this for like almost half a century. Anyway, let's talk about one of their, quote, esoteric practices they do practice.
Sensual meditation.
That's a Snoop Dogg song.
Okay, now that we got all that stereotypical UFO cult type stuff out of the way, let's get into the creepy shit.
Let's do the butthole meditations. Let's do it. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. And by creepy, I mean old man looking at young girls creepy, not spooky creepy.
Vampires. Vampires fit the description.
You'll see what I mean. So there's a disturbing practice in Raelism called sensual meditation. It seems kind of like not that bad at surface value. You just wait, which is allegedly taught to Claude by the aliens during his second abduction. In 1980, he made this practice public, declaring if one practiced this art, they could reach cosmic orgasm. It starts right off the bat with new members too, who all gather for monthly lessons. The teacher teaches them the sacred art of harmonization with the infinite. Early on, this is pretty soft core with Raelians, just like laying on the floor and a teacher gently speaking to them in a guided meditation. They are told to relax parts of their body consciously, which is similar to autogenous training and other relaxation techniques, including those of the Monroe Institute.
Some of the deep cut conspiracy theorists say the Monroe Institute is actually just MK Ultra for certain important people.
They are then guided to make a psychic connection with the Elohim and guided on a journey through the cosmos to the home planet of the aliens. In the end, the practitioners are taught to enter a heightened state of awareness while their body is relaxed. Members are also given tapes with vocal instructions and are supposed to practice daily on their own. Sounds pretty awesome, but it gets a lot worse. This is just the introduction to sensual meditation. Moving on to the upper levels of this practice, Raelians focus on the senses, touch, see, feel, and smell. This quickly escalates to become sexual once new members are already groomed by the introductory practice. It doesn't take too much to push them over the edge. The sexualization of the meditation eventually leads to orgies. The emphasis on sexual experiences and physical touch raises concerns about the objectification of the human body, particularly women's bodies.
Yeah, there's like quite a few ex-members that are like really, really upset that they were kind of manipulated into letting other people their wives.
Mm-hmm. The absence of clear boundaries and guidelines for physical interactions during sensual meditation could lead to uncomfortable or exploitative situations. Women are pushed more and more to allow men to use their bodies whenever they want, with inhibitions being shamed.
Maybe this is a bad time to play devil's advocate, but how come whenever a magician gets the angels on the phone, they have them do the exact same thing? Why is that? You notice that? John D., Edward Kelly, L. Ron Hubbard.
Be a degenerate.
Parsons.
Yeah.
No, the Elohim, they're obsessed with this stuff. The Elohim are...
I mean, maybe it's the men that are just obsessed with this and then because they've made divine contact, they can exploit it and exploit women.
Well, yes, but there is something to be said. Perhaps the aliens are a bunch of perverts. And as funny as I'm making the sound, it's not necessarily a new revelation. Like if you go back and look at all the Gnostic literature, how do they behave? The creators, they behave like this. They're perverts. Like what, they try and hump Eve and then Zoe and all the rest of it, and then they're like, no, you cannot, and they run away. So I guess worst case scenario, all of this is true, and our creators are a bunch of crazy sex robot slave having woman-hating psychopaths, I guess. I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there. It's a possibility.
Most disturbingly, age isn't really considered a factor in all this either. So young women can easily find themselves receiving unwanted attention from old men.
Apparently is very common. So it's not just possible, it is likely.
It's very likely. I mean, there's pictures of it. And then, once again, to keep playing devil's advocate, why do all the Abrahamic religions seem to have this problem? Why?
What problem?
Of older men objectifying younger women, like almost as part of the religion, and sometimes younger boys.
So like with Claude, his second marriage was to a woman who was only 16 years old and he was 20 years older than her. Then he got this whole cult thing started and eventually loses interest in her and kind of just has his own like massive harem of young women now. Yeah.
Oh, we go much deeper into that. His first wife was of age. It was his second wife that was 16, and he only married her so that he could have sex with a minor without getting in trouble with the law.
I did say it was his second wife.
Oh, you did? My bad.
Yes.
Yeah, and then once she turned 18, he divorced her, and he encouraged other people to do the same to avoid their religious persecution, he called it. Many former members have come forward with disturbing stories surrounding sexual coercion within the religion. One such survivor story comes from Jean Paraga, a former Raelian, who claimed that his wife and children were being held as prisoners, and that Rael attempted to break up his family. He claimed that his wife and children were involved in activities such as orgies and sacrifices that involved children at the sensual meditation camp. Jean's thirst for justice was so strong that in August 1992, he attempted to assassinate Claude.
Whoa! Like, tried to kill him?
Boom, boom, and the beam, beam.
He wasn't successful, obviously, because Claude is the chosen one.
What if you'd like to hear more about Raelianism, especially their bizarre sexual beliefs, the controversy and claims of human trafficking, how Claude became a cult leader in the first place, and whether or not their organization actually cloned human beings and might be providing that service to the Illuminati, then please visit www.patreon.com/thewholerabbit, where your monthly donation of just $5 will not only get you this extended episode, you get every single one of our extended episodes, and you'll get the secret keys to our Discord server where you can tell us about the 5x5 high quality vinyl sticker that I will send you, and you can stick pretty much anything that sticky things stick to. Go figure.
Woo.
Until then, everybody, eat carrots and shoot lasers.
Pew, pew, pew.
Pew.